Hello, beautiful souls. Divine love and light to you. Today's the date is 22 February. That is 2 and year 2022. 2222. It's got to do again with a day of alignment with the Ascension happening, and a time when the portals are open and newer energies flood in and flush this earth and cleanse this earth, and obviously we as earthlings are getting affected by it too. Now, I don't want to directly talk about these portals and dimensions and all those things because it may sound very taboo or weird, especially to those who do not even know what's ascension and what's happening and how what are earth frequencies and how we are all evolving collectively. So I do not want to go into it, but at the same time I cannot deny that there are certain days and times and moments when the energies flood and the earth is bathed in this beautiful divine love and light. So today is one such day. But ironically the thing is that though these are divine energies, divine love and light flowing, but the outcomes may not be very divine or may not sound very pleasant, because the outcomes are when something good tries, or the good energy tries to move into something that is very dense or gross or holds negativities. What happens is something called purging. It flushes out. That's how cleansing happens, and that's what we are talking about, cleansing here. That's how even the human bodies are being purified. So the purging happens, and on all levels, on the physical level, emotional level, mental level. So when purging happens is the clutter that is there, that is trying to exit or being flushed out very fast, more than you can tolerate or you can understand or relate to, then is what happens is called as the ascension symptoms. These are the symptoms of ascension. Ascension is something good. It's an evolution that's happening. So when your frequencies are raising, your consciousness is raising higher and higher, what's happening is whatever is dense and gross is leaving you. But while it is leaving, it depends on how dear that gross thing is to you. How dear is that negative thing with you? Because you may say you don't like negative things, but subconsciously or unconsciously you might be holding it, or you might be holding on to it, or you might have fallen in love with it. We all fall in love with our own aspects, especially our ego aspects. We are in love with it because we are very fond of it, and we depend more on that. All our security is mostly on our ego self. The ego that falsely identifies itself with this false reality. So it becomes more difficult because we are in love with our personalities, we are in love with our identities, we are in love with our beliefs, our conditions, whatever we have held on, and that which is not ours. If you see closely, all these conditioned beliefs and faiths and all kind of conditioning that we have had since childhood, just spend a moment in awareness and see how much of it is really yours. It's not really yours, my dear ones. It's all borrowed stuff. Borrowed, more than borrowed, it's given stuff. It's dumped stuff. Something that has been dumped by people around you. It begins from the family itself during the childhood, and it goes on even till the adulthood, where even society keeps doing that. The people that's what this false world is supposed to do, and that's what this false world has been doing unconsciously. They're not aware. There's no awareness in it. It's just a blindfolded act that's going on everywhere. Everybody is conditioned by something or the other, and they live by those conditions like a robot, and they condition others, each other, in the name of love or concern. Most of the time even our loved ones do this. We impose our conditioned beliefs, our faiths, whatever our narrowness is, whatever we have understood, whatever our beliefs are. Because these beliefs and all these things are something which we are living unconsciously. You hold on to certain beliefs of life religiously without even knowing if it is really helping you or not. Why? Just because somebody in my earlier generation or my ancestors or my seniors or elders have done it all their life, so I believe I got to do the same. Only people who have awakened and have had this awareness will come to know that they are living such a false life, a false grid, and you are actually entrapped in it. Because even the people who get awakened and they become aware of this, when they try to shrug off and move out of this zone of falseness, it's very tough. It's very tough. It's very challenging for the self to get out of this kind of false grips. That is when the struggles begin. Because your own ego self will not allow you, your people will not allow you. The conditioned world will not allow you to thrive more than what they have conditioned you into. Everybody wants you to live in that out of their own security, rather insecurity. So they feel insecure if you are not one among them. I'm talking this on levels. Like for example, take your loved ones, your dear ones. How threatened they feel if you become spiritual or you become religious or you start doing anything good, anything of higher consciousness you try to do, and you see what happens. Why? Because the people around you might be of lower consciousness. So that lower consciousness is their security. So whenever you do something of a higher evolution, higher consciousness, though they know it very well from the bottom of their hearts that what is being done is actually the truth, because the soul can never lie. Their self tells them that this is ideal and this is the truth, this is what needs to be done by you also. But because of their challenges of their own rigid systems and their deep subconscious conditioning, they are unable to get out of it. And since they are unable to get out of it, they won't allow anybody else to get out of it, because once you get out of it, you are free. That's your freedom. You're liberated. So when you are liberated from that kind of a catch in which they are stuck in, naturally it's a natural tendency to feel threatened, to feel insecure. Insecure, why? Because they are bound to lose somebody now. This is a very subconscious, this is not logical what I'm telling you. All these things does not happen logically to them, but subconsciously they can sense it. They can sense that they're losing somebody. Losing to what? To something higher. Now, if higher is right, if it is good, why are they insecure? Because they cannot embrace it themselves due to their own conditioning or whatever rigidity that they have in them. So, it is a big threatening situation for them. So now they will try to grip you, pull you down, bring you back into the same zones where they feel comfortable and tell you that this is your comfort, this is your security. Directly or indirectly they might tell you. So if you are a aware being, awakened being, you will understand why, what and how people talk and how they deal with you, how they relate with you, and where are their conditions fear coming from. To an awakened person, it is not a big challenge, because you understand why people, even your loved ones, do what they do. So you have no grudges against them, because you have an higher understanding of the poor them. They are stuck in that and they are unable to see what you can see. So you have more kind of empathy towards them. So you become more tolerant towards them. That's the advantage of being spiritually evolved. If you are spiritually evolved, you don't become reactive like them. You don't behave like one among the herd. If they get angry or angered or very sad or grieved about what you are doing and they react in a very negative manner, obviously you are not going to do the same, because they are doing it out of unconsciousness and you are a conscious being. That's the advantage that a spiritual person or an awakened person or a person in awareness has over other beings. So there is more of peace within you, though there might not be peace among them. But peace with you might be there, but it might not be very consistent, because these are challenging times for you also. You as a human being, you are having all aspects of all dimensional frequencies. Like you might be not completely moved into the fourth or fifth dimensional kind of frequency or consciousness. You might be also having, it might be a transition process that you as a spiritual seeker are going through. So if it is a transition process, guaranteed your one foot is on the lower rung of the ladder also, though one might be on the higher. So you are also experiencing a third dimensional reality while you are living and you're struggling. That's your struggle. A spiritual seeker's struggle is that you are trying to let go of the gross third dimensional stuff and climb on, embrace the higher. So in that process, you have a lot of work to do on yourself. So you got to, purge a lot, and when you purge, there are so many symptoms, there are so many things that happen to you. You got to go through those things also in a very, very mature way. And on top of that, you got to deal with these people. It's at a huge level, because anywhere you go out, it's the same kind of consciousness, and you got to deal with situations and people in that way. And unfortunately, even it can be among your loved ones, where you are dealing with these kind of challenges. So I would say if anybody is saying that you have practicing unconditional love with your people, your family members, loved members, and having a great time with them, and I don't think it's true. I don't think, because somewhere we are still bound by this earthly ego self, and since we are in the ego body, we are going to be affected by it. Let me tell you, until you are saintly, until you have really transcended it, and until you have been totally self-realized or liberated, it's false to say that all is going well, and we just need to love. That love won't come from you also, because there are times when you are challenged by your own lower self, and when you are going through a challenge and you are handling it, and you are trying to handle it, you are doing your spiritual practices, you are doing all that you can to elevate yourself. It's a struggle for you also. So while these things are happening, what I'm trying to tell you is, let us not be just carried away by all is well. Awareness of these things just brings you calm, just brings you a kind of peace, because there okay, these things are happening to me, inside me, outside me. Now, why this is happening? That is what we are talking about, the ascension process. And I'm telling you, until you are becoming aware of who you are, where have you come from, and where are you going, these three aspects, till you realize, it is impossible to even get close to what I'm trying to tell you. This will be understood only by those people who are at least little aware of who they are, where they have come from, and where they're going. Who they are, who are you, means you are not the body. You are not this gross human being. You are not this finite being that comes and just perishes one day, dies one day. You are the immortal self that is there within that body, that even though the body dies, you don't die. The real you don't die. The soul passes on, and you have been passing on for eons, taking one body after the other. And why are you taking one body after the other? Because you are stuck in certain kind of limitations that the ego has bounded you with. So what is the purpose then? The purpose is to set yourself free from this limitation, these limitations. That means to set yourself free from the ego. So the whole process is about not identifying with the ego and letting go of it, dissolving the ego. That is, in simple one term, one line. If you ask me what is religious practice, what is spiritual practice, what is the journey about, it's just one. It's just the process of dissolving your ego. The moment you dissolve your ego completely, you realize that you are not the ego. That is self-realization. You realize the true nature of yourself. That is self-realization. That is the purpose. And what happens if you realize? If you realize, then you are no more stuck with the process of changing bodies. Because changing bodies happen only when there are undue stuff, incomplete stuff with people and places. There are a lot of pending issues, unresolved issues with people and places. Why unresolved issues? Because of the ego. The ego thinks this is the limitation, and ego thinks this thing that we are dealing with each other, this little quarrel, this little fight, this little grudge of you have done this to me, I won't forgive you, I won't leave you, I am going to get through, or I am going to get even, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This kind of egoic self is what keeps us jumbled up in what is called karma. What you give, what you receive back. That as you sow, you shall reap. So shall you reap. So this is what we get stuck into. And once you realize the self, the ego is dissolved, there is great peace. Great peace in knowing that, wow, this is not me, the limited, the petty me. I am beyond all this, and I am eternal. I don't belong to this little body of mine. I don't belong to this little family of mine. I don't belong to this little piece of land which I called me and mine. The me and mine syndrome dissolves. There is nothing called me. There is nothing called mine. All this comes with the ego. When this dissolves, what happens is there is great peace, eternal peace, which is what we call the bliss, the Satchidananda. So in that peace, when a soul reaches that, it is free. It is not bound anymore. It no more gets into the cosmic, the drama, the play of you and me, and you did this thing, I did that thing, you should do this thing, I should do that thing. And we refuse anymore to take any more kind of loops of human births or any kind of births. That is freedom. So this is what I mean by who you are. This is what you really are. Where have you come from? You have come from that one source which you call God frequency, which you call the universe, which you call the cosmos, which you name it anything. You call it Shiva, you call it Allah, you call it God. You have come from that source. So you have come from that source. Means what? Means you are part of that source. And if you are part of that source, what is that source? That source is God consciousness. So if you are part of that God consciousness, it simply means you are God. Aham Brahmasmi, which is told as I am that, I am God, I am Shiva. All religions say this in different ways. Why? Because we are a part and parcel of that divine consciousness, the source. So who are you? You are not this body. Where have you come from? I have come from that one source. That means you are God. That is why you are not the body. That is why you are immortal. Already you are immortal. Mortality is the ego self that catches on and say, this is my limited existence. So you have come from that one source. Where have you come from? You have come from the one source. So if you have come from that one source and you realize that you are not this limited being, but you are that one great divine consciousness, where are you going next? You are going back to source, where you belong. You are going back home. Because now you have understood that you are not this. So you now undertake the journey of unwinding and getting through your true self and getting back home. So where have you come from? One source. Where are you going? To the one source. Who are you? You are not this limited being. These are the three most essential questions that if you have realized somewhere, maybe not in experience, but even intellectually, even in your mind, if you have understood this little thing, then life becomes easier to deal with the challenges that today humanity is undergoing. This ascension systems that we have got continuously, the ascension that is happening. Ascension is a purging. Why is the purging happening? It is a source energy that is pumping energies into this so that people awaken and realize that they are not these limited beings. They are caught up in this cosmic play. So it is the play of the consciousness only. If this whole living and the whole life on earth that you see is a cosmic play, definitely part of that play is to get you back to the source. So when the time is right, and the time is now. The time is now when the ascension is happening and there is a lot of pumping going on, pumping in of those energies. Why those energies? Why the earth is pumping, or why is cosmos pumping so much of divine energies into the planes, different dimensions, especially the earth plane here where we are? So so that we get relieved and we get free from the bondages that we are in. It is the end, coming to an end of that cosmic play, that cycle, where everybody is urged to go forth and realize it's high time. So until these energies come in, you are not going to realize. Are you getting me? You cannot realize until there is divine consciousness within you. How can divine consciousness come into you? Somebody has to pour in into you. It has to come from outside, because you are engaged in your inside. You have locked yourself in your own rigid egoic beliefs. So that has to be broken. How? The source has to reveal that to you by pushing in more light energy, light consciousness. Because when we are more affected by the gross, the egoic self, we are obviously going to be affected by the negative consciousness. The grossness is the denseness, the weight. The force that keeps us in our egoic self is the negativity. Negativity plays an important role in keeping us in our limited self and continuing this play in pain and pleasure. So to dissolve this kind of negativity, there has to be more divine energies coming in. That is what I call as divine love and divine light. Divine love is that unconditional love of that source, that divine love, out of which this divine light is being poured unto us. And when it is poured unto us, it is seeping into every being on this earth. And it is nourishing, it is rejuvenating, it is evolving souls. And while it is evolving souls, it is pushing out what is not meant for you, what you have held on, what we have held on through our egoic bodies, egoic understandings, egoic beliefs. So it is purging it out. It has to purge out, because only when that goes, we are going to be clean and purified. So when that purging happens is when this huge dilemma is happening right now on the earth consciousness. It's a massive level. Purging is happening, and people are unable to understand what's happening to my body, what's happening to my mind, what's happening to my emotions. And that is what we are exactly talking here about. The Ascension symptoms. So today is one of that day when the pumping is little more. If I can put it to you in this simple words, the pumping of the cosmic energy is little more. When some certain portals open up and a gush of energies are released, and gush of energy is a good news actually, but it might be bad news for many, because those who are not ready, those who are very holding on to their egoic self as, no, I won't let go of anything, this is me, this is my true self, in the false identity, they will have trouble, because the energy will just come and push out the negative beliefs out, and that creates a jolt, that creates a confusion, that creates a trauma actually. It's a trauma. It's very traumatic. What happens when you're holding on to somebody very close and somebody tries to snatch it away from you? It's a trauma. So what we are holding on to is all this negative beliefs, and what the source wants is that you do not hold on to it anymore. So how to make this process easier is by realizing this. That is what I said. If you understand these three things, these three questions of life, about who you are, where you come from, and where you are going, the rest of the things will start making sense to you, and you will ease up a little bit. You'll understand, okay, things are happening. Maybe it's looking very negative, maybe it's looking very gross. A lot of things coming up, a lot of mental tensions, a lot of insecurities, a lot of fear within me. It feels like I'm dying. There are so many things happening. People are dying. I'm ceasing to exist. I'm not going to exist anymore. And then there's a panic mode that I go into, because I don't want to die. The egoic bodies never want to die, because they do not know that they're immortal. Their mortality is what they try to extend into immortality. So that's impossible. But that's what the ego tries to do. It tries to become immortal, though it knows. You and me know very well. We are here for a limited time, but when the time comes, are we ready? No, we are not. Why is it so? Because it's foolish. When you know it's a limited time here, then what is the fear about? Why are we struggling to become immortals here in this body? It is that egoic self trying to play itself out and trying to expand or extend that stay in this limited being. One is this way, one is remaining or expanding your horizon and seeing yourself as immortal and trying to expand into that vast consciousness and saying that this is the immortal being I want to be. That still makes sense. That's what's really happening. But in fact, what we do is we try to hold on to our limited beliefs, and in this limited existence, in this limited body, we try to expand it and extend it. That's where the trouble happens, because we have very less understanding of who we are, where have we come from, and where are we going. So dear ones, this is just like a reminder I thought I'll put today. Who you are, where have you come from, and where are you going. Just work on these 3 questions all the time. And the more you work in awareness, the more your being will start absorbing into that reality and sinking into that truth. When the more you understand that, the less of these frictions, what we call as ascension symptoms, will happen. Otherwise, currently the world is facing a big challenge on all levels, physical level, mental level, emotional. See, when the purging is happening, definitely your physical body is also purging. So there will be a rise of symptoms happening in your body. Headaches, nausea, giddiness, and tension related issues on your musculoskeletal body, with your bones, joints, muscles, fascia, tendons, and then issues with your stomach, bloating or diarrhea or heavy constipations, issues with your heart, the heart palpitations, the sweaty nights, hot flashes at night, cold flashes at night, the chills and shudders that you get in the sometimes, and sometimes a runny nose, acute cold or flu symptoms, and lot of other things like coughs, body pains, and your problems with the female problems, the male problems, hormonal problems, insomnia, sleeping issues, diet issues, digestive issues, so many cardiovascular issues, urinary issues, lot of peeing or absolutely no, body going dry, skin rashes erupting, acne, hair fall, eyes going dry, eye vision's not very clear, it's adjusting, and sometimes it's blur, sometimes it's good, and you have a feeling that you might go blind or what's happening. Suddenly everything in the body is changing, because now the body is trying to adapt to those higher energies, higher frequencies, and it is so fond of these lower tendencies. So this let go of the old is, when it doesn't happen, is what makes it more challenging. It makes all these symptoms very scary, very frightful. And yes, if these symptoms are not given heed to, it can result into physical diseases and illnesses. Actually, illnesses come from there when you are very rigidly holding on to what should be released. All are, we can assist ourselves in the healing of our ailments and diseases, and it can be physical disease or even mental or emotional traumas. So much of emotional traumas. Emotions are not well at this time. It's too high or too low, too depressive. When it's too low, it's too depressive. When it's too high, it's like you can't sit still. There's so much of anxiety, there is so much of panickiness, there is so much of urgency, and all this can actually blow you up at all levels, the physical level, the mental level, the emotional level. Mind is not calm, mind is surging. There's so much anxiety day in and day out, and most of the time people don't understand, what am I anxious about? What is this that is scaring, that freaking me out? There's so much of fear of unknown, and you exactly cannot pinpoint what is wrong, but there is feeling of something is wrong. Something doesn't feel good. I feel uncomfortable, I feel uneasy all the time. All these are Ascension symptoms, and this is happening at a mass level. This is not just with one or two or a few couple of people or a few hundreds or thousands. It's happening with almost everyone. People speak about it or they don't realize what's happening. People severely feel they are sick and they are going to die. That scare is there. That panic and that fear that is triggered right now is the fear of death. And let me tell you, this is the death of ego that's happening. And that's very real. The ego is dying, but the ego won't die. It's going to martyr itself. It's not going to give it up easily. It's going to struggle for its existence. And that's what the dark does. The dark, when it is coming to an end because of the entry of light, the dark trembles. The evil always trembles. And it doesn't let go very easily. It fights till the end. That fight that takes place within us, in our consciousness, is what creates all these conflicts. And if we are not aware of these things, what happens is we do not know what's happening. And then we feel all the time that something is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. And actually, what was wrong with you is going. So you allow that wrong to go instead of feeling that something is wrong with you. By holding on to the wrong, there is something wrong with you, definitely. Because these are not the times you can hold, even if there is no choice. I'm telling you, there is no choice. When the cosmos has started acting, there is no choice. Choice was there in all these millenniums, in all these eras. There was a choice that you choose, you do it in this manner. And man took eons to understand or even degrade it. So now when the cosmos is acting, it shows that that's a divine purpose, that's a divine plan, cosmic plan. It has to end that way, and that's why it is intervening. This is called divine intervention. And when divine intervention is happening, who are you and me? Limited beings. So all that we can do is go with the divine plans. Divine intervention is happening, so we go with the cosmic play. We support the divine, or we support God. That is what is called surrender. When you support God completely by understanding in awareness, okay, these things are happening, so I support. I don't fight with God because I know I cannot fight with that source. I'm nothing actually. It's very funny, but we still do fight. So when we cooperate with the divine purpose is what is called surrender in simple words. So we surrender to this process by understanding and becoming aware of these things are happening and becoming more and more aware and observant of life around us and life within us. We observe our symptoms. We observe what is this symptom happening? Why is this symptom happening? Why is this kind of illness coming to me? Why are these kind of jolts happening within me? Why is my heart panicking? Why is my heart palpitation going up so high? Why are my pulses going so high? What's wrong with me actually? So if you look from this eye, this divine eye, you'll become more relaxed. You'll understand, okay, this is something that everybody is going through. I'm also going through. So I got to witness, I got to cooperate with this. So what is it that life is trying to show me that I'm holding on to, which is not good for me? So I allow to myself to see. Till now I close my eyes. I've been closing my eyes to all these things. I don't want to see. But now I have to. I have to open up. So when I open up and allow myself to look into this, there will be a certain kind of peace. And what happens is, there will be relief from those symptoms also, beautifully. There will be miracle cures. Miracle cures happen because people write to me, all these I'm just not talking blah 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 blah. I am talking from what is happening in the collective, from what I am reading, through my own intuitions, from what I am reading, through my interaction with people of all diversities around the globe, and from the communication that I get from people through emails, messengers, and however the messages come to me, what they are feeling right now, and it all amounts to what I'm talking right now. The problems, the variety of symptoms that people have, and the variety of problems that they see in this variety of symptoms, They individualize it and think it is a personal problem. It is not a personal problem. I'm telling you, I've told this many times again and again. It is a collective problem. You feel it is personal because you have personalized. The ego has personalized it because it loves personalizing these things, and it loves the victimization mode. That the ego feels victimized. Oh, I am a victim of this. And when you feel victim only, you can personalize and say, I have this kind of a problem that is going on in my life. I have seen so many people suffering so many kind of ailments, new ailments coming up. Mostly it is psychiatric, physiologically also, and physiologically means bodily also they are feeling it, and psychologically also they are feeling it. So there are many who have communicated on that. Many have developed, most I can see have developed kind of musculoskeletal issues, with spondylosis, backaches, new symptoms coming up, joint stiffnesses and muscle pains, and frozen stuff. And see, even because I was part of this, I know I have been a part of this, these kind of symptoms. And I told you, whenever I have to ease it up, I take therapy for it or physical help. But internally I am aware of it. Sometimes you need to take physical help, but you need to take it in awareness. You are not blindly taking in or injecting medicines into your body, or putting chemicals into your, popping chemical pills just blindly because you want to get rid of that. It won't happen. You have to be in awareness. And maybe your body has, or mind has gone for a toss. You take support as much as natural modalities of healing. You go for those things. So that is what I suggest to people. If you're having musculoskeletal so many issues, go to a chiropractor or go to physiotherapist, and find a physiotherapist or a chiropractor who relate to these kind of alternating modalities, without the belief that they have to treat your body. Those who know that they are not treating your body, but they are treating your mind and body. Find such people who are awake, who are aware of these things, and it will help you. And they will simply not blindly try to treat your body, but they will try to integrate that healing. And you are already aware of it. You just need to find. And I'm telling you, if you have this openness and if you have this kind of awareness, you will find the right kind of people. I've told this in previous videos. I find them. So these are the support systems that we do need to take, and you might need to take something for your body and mind to do whatever does it. But the higher thing is that do not lose the main function of why these things are happening. So the other day somebody told me they have severe jaw issues and TMJ, temporomandibular joint issues. These are. And these come from stiffening, all this stiffening, and suddenly there's a pain, and there are varied kind of symptoms and shooting pains and things that come with it, and which looks so scary. And today the medical science is actually suffering because they are unable to understand these overwhelming situations and overwhelming symptoms that patients are coming to them with again and again. And most of the time patients are coming with huge list of symptoms, and lot of research is being done on it, lot of studies, blood work is done on it, or x-rays are taken, ultrasound is done, so many tests are done, and only to find that everything is normal. And so that's berserking them. Then they are going bewildered. They're not understanding what's this then. The physical body is showing up all these things, but it's showing everything is normal. These are those Ascension symptoms. So if you are diagnosed with something, or if your medical reports show that you have certain kind of illness, or get them treated properly, but in higher awareness. Get it, even if it needs the mainstream medicines or whatever. Get it done, but don't lose the background out, because when these symptoms are ignored again and again for a long time, they manifest into serious illnesses. So when you go into that illness and try to treat it and revert back in this manner, then it can be reversible, because you are doing it with higher awareness, and then slowly you come back to this mode. So you can take these kind of approaches. And all these musculoskeletal that people are telling, this is again because I was reading something called TMS. TMS is tension myositis syndrome. Syndrome is a big headache because syndrome means the science doesn't know yet about. Whenever you see syndrome means they have no clue of what it is. Okay, so there is no clue of. They have no clue of what it is. They know a varied kind of symptoms are showing up, and their studies are going on. So they have no conclusion on it. So that's a syndrome. So tension myositis syndrome. Myositis, myo is muscle. Sitis is again inflammations, muscle inflammations and all that happening, joint inflammations happening. And tension myositis is caused out of tension. See, the word tension is there in that. When you are tense, muscles contract, clenching of muscle, the holding of fists, the holding of the jaws, all these relate, the holding of the shoulders, all these relate to clenching. And this hardens. So this is where the myositis comes from. But interestingly, there was one Dr. Sarno who did a lot of work on tension myositis syndrome, and he said that TMS is not physical, but it is completely psychosomatic. It is coming physiologically, it is coming from the mind. So it has got an emotion behind it. There is some stuck emotion that is creating TMS. So if you go into that pain body, or if you go into the emotional body which is holding on that pain and release it and help yourself, the disease, illness vanishes just like that. Poof. And it happens, I'm telling you. So your awareness is more important on these issues. Instead of just panicking, instead of saying I don't know what's happening to me, and I'm going to die, and this is my end. Yeah, it will all seem very extreme. It will seem extreme. And there is no doubt that we are going to die. I mean physically we are one day or the other, but we are not talking about that. We are talking like, as long as we are alive in this physical body, what do we do? And how do we help ourselves not to repeat the same kind of mistake in another incarnation? Because if we do not get this message, then we are going to repeat another incarnation. Do you want to come here and have the same kind of story? It's upon you. Or you might choose to come here and have another story that is more blissful and better. But that can happen when your awareness is high about all these things. So, when this purging happens, there is lot that is going out. And this is one, somebody also wrote a mail to me asking that they are doing certain sadhanas, certain spiritual sadhanas. And when they are doing it, they have noticed, especially the higher sadhanas, when they do, they notice a lot of problems in life. And when they stop, the problems stop. When they do, again it begins. So they asked me, is this what I am feeling? That person, she asked me, is this what I am feeling? Because this I have noticed for many years. What is your take on this? Is this my weird feeling, or there is something to it? Yes, there is something to it. There is this thing to it, what I am talking to you about. Because when you do your spiritual practice, it is just like the cosmos right now is pumping in energy and purging is happening. So when you do those divine practices, especially Sri Vidya, this person was talking about Sri Vidya, they are very high practices which have powerful energies. And so the purging happens. So these are the side effects of certain spiritual practices. But they are not bad side effects, but you have to be aware of them. If you are aware of why it happens, like these 3 questions, then you will know, okay. And another thing is, it will not give you anything more than what your body and mind can handle. That's the basic rule of life. So it might seem very overwhelming and it might go to an extreme, but I'm telling you, even if it goes to an extreme, there is a saturation point. So you can trust that point. It will never give you excess than that. But the ego always tries to play it safe or find it threatening. So the ego doesn't want that, and the ego goes into the panic mode and the fear mode. So yes, what you say is very true, and this has happened in my life also. When I did these sadhanas and all those things, it happened. But over a period of time, they keep on phasing out, and newer things. It all comes on how much baggage are we holding and what. So every single person has different varied aspects of this. It cannot have one common aspect. So I think with this, I've spoken enough on this, and I think this will help you in some way. But I'll come with some more videos in the future. I don't know when, where I tell you how to ease these things also, and how the more remedies and more solutions to ease or calm down these things and to cope up with these things while we are going through this incarnation. So it's sunset and darkened here. I'm returning back home now. I love that color. I can see it's all. So I exit normally before it's dark here, otherwise very difficult to find your way out. So with this, I take your leave, and with lots of divine love and light to all of you, especially the one who are watching these videos. And if you feel this can help somebody who's undergoing similar kind of situation, please share these videos with them, and do let me know with your comments or messages or emails or your feedbacks and suggestions or whatever. I'll be glad to receive them. So with lots of divine love and light to you. Stay blessed.